Okay, so after we get through the morning defense, and then after we get through the afternoon offense, hopefully we have about 45 minutes so we can then have some gameplay. We can keep it the same groups, we can switch the groups up. Maybe we got to set it up in such a way where there's a bit of a more intermediate advanced game and maybe a more beginner intermediate game. However we want to organize it, that's up to us depending on the players that are there and depending on you coaches, your knowledge of the kids. But we'll figure that out once we get to it. But we can get two games going on one field, one on the other field. Here's the way I like to run it. It's pretty simple. It works pretty good. A coach from the defensive team can act as the catcher, and a coach from the offensive team can be the pitcher. Now, the catching coach isn't really actively catching a lot. He's just stepping in to make a play in case the game dictates that a throw is going to come home. So the coach who's the catcher for the defensive team is kind of just like a placeholder, collecting some of the balls, stepping up in case a play needs to be made, but otherwise they're not doing very much. The coach who's pitching and the coach who's catching are working together to kind of govern the game to make sure all the kids are paying attention and that they're ready. So here's how we'll do it. Pitching coach behind an L screen, simply underhand tossing to the kid who's batting. Kid puts the ball in play. The players in the field try to make a play. As the coaches that are running the game on the field, feel free to call timeout whenever you want. We want to try to avoid bad baseball, throws being made all over the place, snowball fights, rundowns. Hopefully, once the defensive team has kind of secured the baseball, we can just shut the play down, call timeout. As I'm sure you all know, sometimes there'll be a ball in the field and a player will be kind of dancing off first base, trying to encourage a throw to get into a rundown, and then chaos ensues. And then it doesn't allow us to have as many kids come up to bat as we otherwise would have had if the play can just be stopped dead. So not only can players bring the ball off the grass into the infield and hold the ball in the air and call timeout, we'll also have it set up that any of the coaches at any point in time, if they want to call timeout, they can. Please ensure that you call timeout not when they're in the middle of a play, because then the kids might get upset that somebody's cheating. But the second it feels like the baseball has been secured somewhere and the play has kind of stopped dead, we can just stop the play. Any batted ball from one of the players that doesn't get through that middle line and makes its way into the field, we'll call it a dead ball. We will have a tee not necessarily at home plate to be used often, but if we do have a player that comes in after 4, 5, 6, 7 swings, however many swings we're giving the kid a chance, if we see that the player's having a hard time putting the ball in play, then maybe the coach who's acting as the catcher can just grab the tee and we can just tee one up for the kid and they can just go ahead and blast one. We could choose to play it where every kid in the batting order gets to bat. We could choose to play it in a way that I call big innings, and what that is it's almost the same thing. Every kid will get a chance to bat, but in big innings, the team on defense stays on defense for a total of 2 innings, a total of 6 outs. And what happens is the batting team goes ahead and bats for 3 outs, or if they score 4 runs, 4 as the mercy, and if they make their way through the first inning of either 3 outs or 4 runs, they will stay at bat and have another offensive inning where they again bat either to 3 outs or to 4 mercy runs. So the offensive team bats for 2 outs of 3 outs being completed, 2 innings of 3 outs being completed, or 2 innings of 4 mercy runs. The team on defense is going to stay out there for 6 outs or 8 runs, however it works out, somewhere between that. Main thing to keep in mind, after 3 outs or after the 4 mercy runs, clear the bases, because essentially it's the end of an inning. Even though it feels like it's one really long inning, we're treating it as 2 innings. And the idea behind that is just to kind of keep the game going rather than the kids switching a lot. We don't have a ton of time, so let's do some big innings so that we don't have to switch quite as much. In each at-bat of 2 innings for each team, they're probably all going to bat everybody in the lineup. Even if we have as many as 10 kids, probably get through the entire lineup because not every play is going to be made. And a note for on defense, we should send 8 kids out into the field, 4 infield positions, and then 4 outfield positions, left, right, left center, right center, And that might result in, if your group has 10 kids, maybe 2 kids are sitting on the bench for one of the innings, only let the kids sit on the bench for 3 outs or for the 4 runs. And then after that first inning is done, have those 2 players come in to take a position and have 2 players from the field come out. Probably a good idea at the end of the 3 outs or the 4 runs or whatever it may be, maybe have the infield and outfield switch, because we want to let all the kids play as many different positions as we can. And generally, as a rule, probably a good idea to let the kids know no player is allowed to play the same position twice. So if one kid runs out there at the beginning of the game and says, I want to play first, that's their inning at first. They don't get another one, because most of the kids are going to want to play first. Some kids are going to want to hide and say, oh, I'm okay just staying in the outfield for the whole game. Let's try to discourage that. Let's try to get any kid that might be kind of sneaking off and trying to hide, have them come in and play an infield position for at least an inning or 2. But again, you as the coach determine what you think the right case may be. But we don't want any one kid hogging all the action, and we don't want to let any one kid just kind of sneaking off, not being a part of the action. So hopefully, if we get to this with a good amount of time, at least 30 minutes, hopefully more like 45 minutes, maybe we can actually get 2 kind of full innings in, where one team bats, other team bats, and then the first team bats, and then the next team bats again. But that'll depend on how much time we have, and depend on how quickly we can kind of move through it.